Hello, everybody. My name is Carolina Chavez. We are broadcasting live from Miami. Today is Wednesday, May 20th. We are testing the sound a little bit because we had a couple of glitches in the Spanish broadcast, and then this is the second try of the English broadcast. So apparently, everything is going as planned. If you can please share with me if you hear or see anything, because I'm looking at my phone, which is in front of me, is my camera, so it's hard for me to be looking at the comments, but I am gonna make the effort. All right, so we're gonna start today with I want to put a video for you that comes from the garment workers in LA. Again, if you hear something that is not, if the sound is not going well, because I'm not sure if it's the video or something that is interrupting my voice. I'm gonna share with you why I want you to see this video. Last week I was talking to someone about how everybody is readjusting to this crisis and the reopening of things and everything. So he shared with me that a client of his, she buys clothes from Asia. She rents a cargo, one of these big ships, to bring clothes from Asia, but she doesn't even know who makes those clothes or where exactly are they coming from. She just buys these clothes to sell here in the United States. So it left me thinking, right? How is that even possible? Because we assume that we understand where, at least we know where our stuff is coming from, where are we buying it from, but we really don't know very well. So that inspired me to look further, because I think that if we can relate to faces and if we can see really what's going on, then circumstances are going to change. We might be able to influence circumstances. So here it is.
Mi nombre es Javier García Martínez. Trabajo en la industria de la costura. Soy de Acapulco, Guerrero, México. Y llevo alrededor de 35 y 36 años trabajando en la costura.
My name is Jenny. I'm 36 years old, single mother from Indonesia. I am the sewing operator. I've been work in the garment center and around 10 years.
Mi nombre es Carmen Torres y tengo 20 años de trabajar en costura, en lo que se llama trimming.
Trabajo como planchador, trabajo en el centro de Los Ángeles. Yo trabajo muy duro en este tipo de trabajo que hago. ¿Para quién trabajo? Para mi familia, para que ellos puedan tener algo en el futuro y puedan hacer algo en México, porque la vida en México es muy dura.
Yeah, I have son. I'm single mother, so I need to work. When I feel tired after work, when I see my son is no more tired, it's very helpful.
Trabajo mucho porque el sueldo es demasiado bajo. Y si yo trabajo pocas horas no saco ni para comer. Entonces por eso me tengo que exigir a trabajar más de 11 horas.
Me duele la cabeza, me duele el cuerpo, las manos. Las consecuencias del trabajo te puede dejar pulmonía, te puede dejar reumatismo, artritis. Hay muchas cosas que puedes sufrir a causa del trabajo que uno desempeña.
Luego lo de la vista, que se me afectó bastante con ese tipo de trabajo, porque ese trabajo lleva muy fijo la mirada hacia la prenda. Me operaron, el 11 me operaron de mi ojo derecho. Supongo yo que es por eso, por ese trabajo.
Bueno, es muy común que las personas se enfermen. Hay muchos químicos que despiden las telas, los materiales, los químicos que usan para lavar los pisos, quedan donde quiera. Muchas veces no tienen cuidado los patrones y es deber de los patrones tener ese cuidado, que los químicos estén apropiadamente en un lugar seguro.
Because of the fabric is more dusty. The company doesn't give mask, so some people make from the fabric.
La responsabilidad viene directamente del patrón. Él tiene que proveer lo necesario para que el trabajador pueda trabajar sin ninguna clase de peligro.
Todos los seres humanos merecemos trabajar en un lugar limpio, propiamente por nuestra salud y la propia salud de uno.
Yo tomé un curso en el Centro de Trabajadores de Costura. Soy promotor de salud y seguridad y trato de mostrarle a mis compañeros, a todos los que trabajan en el ámbito de la costura, cómo y qué se puede hacer para evitar muchas consecuencias en los trabajos. Hay un departamento que se llama Calosha, que tú puedes poner una denuncia en contra de una fábrica que tenga toda esa clase de problemas como ratones, cucarachas, que no esté trabajando bien. Calosha son los que se encargan de venir y hacer que el patrón mantenga limpio esa fábrica.
The place doesn't have air conditioner or some fan, only have one window and the door. So when I feel very hot, I go take a little bit break, step outside and drink a lot of water. You can take small fan to use by yourself.
Entonces uno suda cada rato, hay que ir al baño a mojar una toallita y a limpiarse el sudor. Debajo de los brazos, en las articulaciones y aquí en la nuca.
Todos los trabajadores tienen derecho por ley que cada 4 horas deben de tomar 10 minutos y 30 minutos en su hora de lunch. Bueno, yo recomiendo a todos los que trabajan en el departamento de la costura que hacer ejercicio para que la circulación de la sangre esté bastante buena y no tengan ningún dolor en las partes del cuerpo, ya sea que trabajen sentados, ya que trabajen parados.
Todos nos merecemos condiciones saludables en el trabajo para poder trabajar mejor, porque ¿de dónde van a agarrar la ropa hecha para mandarla a las tiendas y eso? Si no es por los operadores.
A lot of branded in the city, you know, a lot of branded. But some people, they don't care about who is making clothes. He's just buying in the store and good place and good quality, and he doesn't know the story behind the good product. We don't have good condition at work, and it's very difficult. But we need it. We need the money.
Lo injusto que es el valor de una pieza, porque si una blusa cuesta $60, a nosotros nos vienen pagando 60 centavos.
Es importante tener a los costureros porque no hay otra clase de persona que lo pueda hacer o que lo quiera hacer. Entonces, por eso es muy necesario mantener a los costureros y pagarles un salario justo y digno, para que nuestros compañeros puedan hacer mejor su trabajo y para que esas personas que están comprando esas marcas puedan verlo mejor y comprarlo mejor y que esté mejor hecho.
We at the Garment Workers Center are encouraging consumers as well as workers in the garment industry to really come together to tackle this issue of health and safety. I think that together that we can really make a difference in the garment industry and we can make LA the sweat-free capital of the world.
Well, as we see in LA, things are not so different as in other parts of the world that we've been talking about: Bangladesh, Myanmar, Latin America, Mexico, Brazil, so many places. Just in Los Angeles, there's 45,000 garment workers. This is the biggest concentration of garment workers in the United States. So the whole industry, not the whole, but the most of the industry is gathered over there. And one of the circumstances that make this situation for them a little bit more precarious is that many of these workers are immigrants and illegal immigrants. So when we are faced with circumstances like what we are right now with the pandemic, they are even more harmed by the circumstances because they don't have any protection from the government. There are no laws that protect illegal immigrants. They don't have health insurance, they don't have paid leave, they don't have maternity leave. Usually they don't, but now some people need it even more. The security of having somewhere to go if they get sick. One of the things that I found out that happens with garment workers in LA is that they are paid by the piece. They make a mask and they get paid by the piece around 0.03 cents. So if you put it all together during a month, is less than half the minimum wage. These are people that obviously don't have savings or anything else to fall back on. So this is it's called the wage theft, and it is caused by the abuse of the piece rate system, which is to pay them by piece instead of giving them a full salary. Even the full salary, the minimum wage, is not enough. We've been discussing this. It's not the same as having a living wage than a minimum wage. The living wage is just probably double of what the minimum wage is. So, and now they're receiving even less because they're being paid by the piece. So, as in many other places, as they do not have the right to paid leave, they do not have means to get tested, or they do not have medical insurance in case they fall ill. Many go to work even infected, putting themselves at risk and the people around them. This situation that they don't have money, just it keeps falling. It keeps affecting everything around and everybody around. This working force brings billions of dollars to the economy in the United States, and yet they're completely unprotected. Only in Los Angeles, we said there's 45,000 garment workers, and the characteristics are very similar. No, we've talked about unhealthy conditions to work. We've talked about most of this forced work is women. We've talked about child labor, but it's accentuated the fact in this part of the country that they are illegal immigrants. So I'm going to share with you some pictures. I'm gonna describe to you a few aspects that also happen in Bangladesh and in other parts of Asia, because we need to know this. We cannot just keep buying and going our regular ways without knowing all of these things, okay? Some of the aspects that happen over there is that they suffer from unjustified dismissals. Workers are often fired for not working at the required speed and productivity. Union workers, as we mentioned last week, they are fired for complaining and they are blacklisted. So if you belong to a union and you get fired because you belong to the union, then it is even harder after to get a new job because you are on the blacklist because you complain. There's been reports that some women are forced to have abortions. It's uncomfortable for the employers that they have women that are pregnant. Some other women, they're not allowed to come back after they have children. So this makes these women work from home, which is all of this informal sector of the industry, and it's even more underpaid. It's even in harsher conditions. They practically don't leave, right? There's if they usually work six days a week, and in the low season it is around 7 to 10 to 8 hours per day, and in high season it is around 16 hours. Now imagine if you have to work from home. And this situation, because they're subcontracted, they also not protect them in any way, right? Workers who are making products such as masks and gowns for doctors have been reported to not be provided with the protective equipment now that they have returned back to work. So, as we said last week, in Myanmar, around 500 employees were fired because they complained they didn't have enough equipment. These employees from this factory in Myanmar belong to a union. They get fired, but guess what? These employees work for Zara. No, this is one of the factories that Zara employs to get all their clothes done. And you see the conditions and the injustice. While there's an owner of Zara making millions and millions of dollars, these workers that want just protection, because forget about social distancing, forget about clean environments, not even the smallest thing, not even the minimum, the basic protection. So when they ask for it, it's easier for them to get fired. And then what factories do is they rehire people just as quick, because there's a lot of need for these jobs, but people that don't belong to unions, right? So they're discriminated because they belong to unions too. Many of these workers work with hunger and thirst. The very low wages that they earn are not even close enough, and half of their wages, I read this about Asia, I read this about LA, half of their wages go to pay rent. So the other half, they have other bills and they have food to buy and things like that. So their food, because they work so many hours, they require more calories, and their food is based on vegetables and rice and corn, so there's not really much to go on for so many hours. So on top of everything, they work thirsty and hungry. Many women work from home because they also need to take care of their children, but many of these informal jobs are practically invisible under the law, which means that they do not have health insurance or any kind of protection, and suffer even more of all this injustice. Where garment workers' factories reopened, workers reported that they work dirty conditions. This is a common factor, but now with all this health crisis, we hear that we need to wash our hands, that we need to protect ourselves with a mask and all these things. Bathrooms without soap, without hand sanitizer. So the situation is very precarious, as we've been discussing, and I want to accentuate, I want to repeat it, and I want to learn, and for all of us to understand more and more how deep this is, because until we understand and until we know how bad the situation is, we're not going to be able to change our habits and to not allow this to happen, right? I want to share a story with you from Lucy Siegel's book. It's called To Die For. So she writes, she's a British journalist and a writer, she spoke with a woman, she didn't reveal her name, in one of these cities. And this woman, she's telling her that she works from 7 p.m. to 6 in the morning. And she would say, oh, it's the night shift, but in reality it's just a continuation because she just finished working from 7 a.m. to 6 p.m. So she continues explaining that this is very difficult, but that they have to do it because the factory just told them that they got subcontracted with a very, very big order and they have to finish it. So there's really no option for the workers but to do whatever they're asked to do. Ki Ling, which is the fictitious name this woman gave to the writer, receives about $92 per month. She has a 3-year-old daughter, her husband doesn't work, and half of her salary goes to rent. If you don't pay, which they need to pay every 2 weeks, they're being asked to leave, all right? So if she also comments that if she needs to buy clothes for her daughter, she needs to ask for money, to borrow money because it's just not enough. Another story from Lucy Siegel's book that I found interesting is that at the Northumbria University, 60 students in their first year of fashion, they made an experiment of working in a simulated clothing factory with the exact same conditions as a real factory. Same equipment, same workload, everything. So from the outset, they knew they were not going to perform in the same speed and productivity as real garment workers. So they decided they were going to give, listen to this, 1 minute, 55 seconds per side arm that they sew, okay? Each of these, pieces that they're sewing would take, they would be allowed to take 1 minute and 55 seconds. A real garment worker would have this done in 48.5 seconds, all right? After the experiment finished, the results, the students managed to make 95 shirts in 7.5 hours. In the same circumstances, the same equipment, the same time, in a real factory, garment workers would have done 900 t-shirts. This is, 95, 900, that's a lot. Please share this information. It's so crucial, and I keep saying it, but it's really crucial that we understand how things work, because the system is not fair. We're going to speak about it a little bit further from some other angles.